When starting out in fitness, it is incredibly easy to believe that progress requires absolute misery. The modern gym culture often paints a picture where starving yourself and spending grueling, exhausting hours sweating on a treadmill are the only valid ways to see results. We convince ourselves that we only deserve to eat a good meal after we have burned off massive amounts of calories, treating food entirely as a reward you have to earn, rather than a biological requirement. But what if striving for that extreme, punishing level of perfection is actually the exact thing preventing you from making real progress? The people who maintain a healthy lifestyle for years, or even decades, rarely do so by torturing themselves day in and day out. Long-term physical fitness relies heavily on balance. To reach that point, we first have to unlearn the exhausting hustle mentality that tells us we always need to be operating at our absolute limit. Let's look at the actual physics of the human body. Even if you do absolutely nothing all day but sit quietly in a chair, you are continuously burning calories. This baseline energy requirement is your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. You can think of it like a smartphone running its background apps. The screen might be off, but the battery is still draining. Your body constantly draws down that energy meter to perform silent, vital tasks, requiring massive fuel to keep your heart beating and regenerate skin cells. This is exactly why extreme restriction, like those heavily promoted 1,200-calorie diets, fails so consistently. That tiny amount of fuel is medically insufficient to power a fully grown adult. Food is the mandatory fuel required to simply keep you alive. When you starve your body of that baseline energy, you guarantee failure before you even step foot in a gym. When beginners finally do step onto the gym floor, they often feel the urge to radically change their routine every single week, believing they need to constantly shock the muscle. However, completely switching your exercises around means your body never gets the opportunity to adapt, learn the movements, and actually grow stronger. This climbing trend line happens when you perform the exact same movements consistently, but simply nudge the difficulty up as you go by adding a little more weight or an extra rep. This gradual challenge, or progressive overload, is like slowly turning up the volume dial on a speaker, rather than randomly pressing all the buttons. You can achieve this steady growth with relatively short, simple routines. A standard schedule of pushing, pulling, and working your legs, or even just taking a brisk 30-minute walk on a treadmill, works perfectly well. True physical transformation relies on quiet, repeated consistency. You will go much further by showing up for a moderate workout on a regular basis than by trying to destroy yourself in a 2-hour marathon. That consistency should also apply to how we view our aesthetic goals. Many people begin their fitness journey intensely focused on becoming as skinny as possible, or maintaining a very low body fat percentage all year round. Keeping your body in that artificially lean state carries severe physical consequences. You will likely experience a sharp drop in your daily energy, your sleep quality will plummet, and your hair might even begin to fall out. Your internal chemistry struggles to function as well. Women frequently lose their menstrual cycle entirely, and both men and women often experience a drastic decrease in libido due to hormonal disruption. Psychologically, chronic restriction triggers a panic response. The body enters starvation mode, creating intense biological urges that often result in uncontrollable binge eating. Achieving an incredibly shredded or skinny exterior usually demands that your internal biology breaks down. Maintaining that extreme look year-round is a fast track to feeling terrible. We can actually look to recent history to see what happens when the intense pressure to perform is suddenly removed, such as during the global lockdowns of 2020. Almost overnight, people lost access to their everyday fitness facilities and the rigorous, metrics-driven schedules they relied on. The culture of hardcore daily gym sessions was completely halted, leaving millions with no choice but to stop agonizing over their physical progress and daily body checks. Even the simplest outdoor alternatives were abruptly taped off, enforcing a mandatory pause on the entire fitness hustle. This forced break revealed something unexpected. When the constant mirrors and the obsession with daily tracking disappeared, many people realized they were actually more at peace with their bodies than when they were hyper-focusing on every perceived flaw. It is important to acknowledge that your mind can be a harsh critic. You might hit every physical goal you wanted, yet still feel like your reflection isn't good enough because your internal self-image hasn't caught up to your external progress. Because your brain can play tricks on you, you have to give yourself explicit permission to be imperfect. It is entirely normal to skip a workout occasionally or enjoy a meal out with friends without tracking a single calorie. If your routine brings you constant stress or makes you feel bad about yourself, that routine is failing you, regardless of the muscle it builds. True fitness combines consistent physical effort with a healthy dose of mental grace. The ultimate goal isn't just a better body,